G'day guys, how you going? Hope you're all having a fantastic evening. Tonight I'm going to be doing a review of a mainstream Hollywood horror film. It was released in 2010. A lot of buzz surrounding it. Some people liked it, some people hated it, so I was looking forward to getting the opportunity to make my own mind up about it. I'm not so much a fan of mainstream Hollywood, but every now and then I'll give one a go. So this is a 2010 release, directed by the same people who brought you Saw. Now, it actually says on the front cover, from the makers of Paranormal Activity and Saw. So whether or not that's a turn-off or that gains your interest, that's up to you to decide. As far as I'm concerned, I actually thought I'd give this a go because a lot of people have been talking about it. Anyway, 2010 release, James Wan directed it, and this movie is called Insidious. And the story to Insidious is as follows. Shortly after moving into a new house, Josh and Renee's young son inexplicably falls into a coma. Increasingly strange disturbances occur in their home, and they make a terrifying discovery that science cannot explain. In order to save their son and escape the malevolent entities haunting them, they move again, only to find that it may not be the house that's haunted after all. So a young couple has a son, and he inexplicably falls into a coma. It's not, there is no reason as to why. They're baffled, they have no idea, but he's in a coma, and he's been like that for a few months. So 3 months passed, and all of a sudden some strange disturbances start occurring in the house, which eventually leads the mother to believe that the house is haunted. So they end up moving house, but this is where they realize that the same disturbances are occurring. So no matter where they are, this, the strange behavior inside this house is still happening. And this is where she is led to believe that maybe it's not the house that's haunted. So that's as far as I'm going to go. Synopsis, the less I say the best. So if you want to know what happens, please go out there and see this one for yourself. It's a very well known horror film, so you'll have no trouble tracking it down. Now my thoughts on this movie. I had no idea what to expect with this one. I thought that this was just going to be another Paranormal Activity, and being the makers of Saw, I'm not really a fan of Saw. I like the first one, but the rest were rubbish in my opinion. So it really was a 50-50. Either I was going to like it or hate it, which is the case with most Hollywood horror films. I heard a lot of people talking about it. Some people liked it, some people hated it. But I thought this could be a film for me. I like the Paranormal Activity films, so I went into this one giving it a fair go. And what I got at the end was a decent film. I actually thought that this was a genuinely creepy horror film. A lot of people would disagree with that. They say it wasn't scary at all. That's debatable, because if you watch this late at night by yourself in a dark room, there are occasions in the film that will send a chill down your spine, because I actually thought it was skillfully made. Some of the camera work from the director really created a spooky atmosphere, and I actually found myself freaked out on more than one occasion. So for the people who say it's not scary at all, I thought that was debatable. Each to their own. Maybe you're very hard to scare, but as far as I'm concerned, I actually thought there were genuinely scary moments. So this film will scare you. If you go in there expecting the right sort of horror film, it's not gory. It just solely relies on jump scares, which can be cheap, but in this regard, I actually thought they were really well done. And it's just all about atmosphere, cinematography, which was very, very good for the most part. Now, James Wan, he did a very good job. I actually thought the way he used the camera was different. It's different from Paranormal Activity. It's not so much a handheld documentary style of film like Paranormal Activity was. So that's something a little bit different. So don't be put off by the fact that it is made by the same people. I actually thought there was enough of a difference to warrant a separate sort of film. Just the camera angles and the sound effects, the soundtrack, very, very subtle, which is what the film required, and I actually thought the overall elements to the film helped create a very spooky film and a very spooky experience. Now, the acting from the main actress, Rose Byrne, who's Australian. I'd much rather an Australian actor use an Australian accent, but in this film, once again, she has to use an American accent. I don't know why. It's beyond reality that maybe an Australian's living in America, but I don't know why they do this. Apparently, Americans can't understand the Australian accent. Oh, I don't know why. We speak English, so that sounds very ridiculous to me, but, this is America. Anything can happen. So, although she is Australian, I actually think she has a very authentic American accent, and she pulled off a good role, and I actually thought both of the parents, I don't know the name of the father, but I've seen him in quite a few films. I thought he was very likable, and that's what another strength to the film. The characters were likable. They weren't annoying. And when the bad things start to happen, you really want them to pull through. So that's a big plus. And I actually thought the director did a good job at creating very realistic sort of characters. For the most part, the young kid, he's in a coma, and so he didn't really require anything in depth. It really focuses on the parents and also the people who come in and help them out. as to, I'm not going to give away what they're there for, but it has to do with the entities that are in this house. So acting was decent. What I didn't like about the movie is that towards the end the wheels started to fall off. Fortunately, the film finishes before the wheels fall off completely. I thought it was getting a little bit ridiculous and that the director was really losing focus on the film. I actually thought it would have been much better if they stayed away from what they do. It just started to get stupid, and I started to think, please just end it right now before it becomes like a disaster. I just thought, it lacked imagination, and it just turned into a popcorn sort of a horror film by the end. But for the most part, this is quite a spooky film. Now, I'm going to give this 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5 for two reasons. Number one, as I said, the ending was getting a little bit silly. And number two, although it's different from Paranormal Activity, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was another Paranormal Activity. Just for the fact that it has the same jump scares, and some of the camera angles, although they were unique, it still sort of had an influence of Paranormal Activity. So that's something I didn't like. I wish that, Paranormal Activity was good, but I hope that films don't go down that path trying to copy that film, because I really like creativity, and although this film was different, I still could feel the Paranormal Activity element behind it. So that's what I didn't like about it, and that's what prevents it from being an outstanding film. But having said all that, I actually thought this is well worth it. If you want to be freaked out, definitely give this one a shot. I was impressed. It was a lot better than I thought it would be, and so that's why I am giving it 3 out of 5. Alright guys, that's my review for the American film Insidious. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.